Cannabis here. Don't give me that look. Don't I sound pretty harmless and friendly? But the moment you all hear my street names, ganja, charas, marijuana, hashish, and bhang, I'm drowned in a pool of sin. The first thing that came to each and every one of your minds was this: an antisocial vagabond. Since childhood, you have been conditioned to think like that. I was born much before any of you humans walked the face of this earth. I was a continuous help for the human race. Medicine or spirituality? I was considered as one of the 5 sacred plants by the Vedas. One sunny afternoon, Lord Shiva, drained from the heat, fell asleep under my shade. Out of curiosity, he sampled my leaves, instantly rejuvenated. My popularity grew immensely amongst the many healers of that time. Gautam Buddha, Sai Baba, and Veds. GIT disorders, headaches, insomnia, and labor pain. I could heal it all. I was introduced into modern medicine by Dr. O'Shaughnessy. My sedative effects were used to treat diseases such as tetanus, hydrophobia, and convulsions in children. And yet, people abused me. Well, you can abuse coffee too, right? Doesn't mean you go on shutting the doors on Starbucks. I'm not really denying the ill effects of my chronic and rash use. It cripples the youth, the wealth of a nation. What I would want you to do is forget everything you have heard in the past and be open-minded to the truth about me. So let my apostles wipe the slate clean and start over.
The human brain has various endogenous cannabinoids like anandamide, which act on 2 major cannabinoid receptors, CB1 and CB2. Cannabis is home to more than 100 cannabinoids. 2 of them, the psychoactive delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol and the non-psychoactive cannabidiol, have been isolated. THC acts by partial agonism on these receptors and shows effects like sedation, analgesia, anti-emesis, muscle relaxation, but anxiety and psychosis as well. Paradoxically, CBD acts by non-competitive antagonism on the same receptors, and studies have shown that it reduces THC-induced anxiety in healthy volunteers. Drugs like dronabinol, nabilon, and Sativex have already been approved by the US FDA. Reflecting this rapidly growing interest in the therapeutic potential of cannabis, around 21 cannabinoids are under study and various uses have been explained.
Between its outlaw image, controversial legal status, and complex makeup, the myriad novels of medical marijuana are in many ways a mystery. We took a step further by asking our youth.
So, what is your opinion about marijuana?
It gets us high.
Know about cannabis?
Cannabis, it has medical importance also, and it can be used as an addiction also.
Mostly used by people, it's abused for recreation, but it also probably hallucinogenic. Forgetting about the pains of life and all.
I've also heard that it has some medicinal properties.
Are you aware of its medicinal properties?
Not exactly. I have heard about them, but
That there are certain benefits of it.
Medical benefits? No. It is basically an analgesic.
Certain CNS disorders vaguely, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm having insomnia and seizures or something like that.
And would you use it if at all it is prescribed to you for any condition?
It depends. Even I am studying medicine, so if I think that there's no other choice, then I'll definitely use it.
Indeed is a better analgesic, then it should be used.
It depends. If he explains the condition to me, then maybe I might take it.
Personally, no. Because I'm aware of it's been drilled into me since too much time about the harm more than the effects, so
And would you say marijuana should be legalized for medicinal purposes?
If it's for medicinal purposes, yes. And in India, it also should be regulated and controlled.
I think it should be legalized.
Not as yet because
I do. For medical purposes, yes.
No.
Yes.
चरस सिर्फ दो चीज़ों के लिए, दो लोगों के लिए है, शादी है।
We are all experts in our own little niche. Let's meet our experts, Dr. Naveen Salins and Dr. P.N. Jain, and let's hear what they have to
I
say.
do not have experience with pure form of cannabis. However, I have experience with synthetic forms of cannabis, predominantly dronabinol. So, both dronabinol and nabilon is not very freely available in India. Okay. In the West, it is quite extensively used, and the primary indication for use, in my experience, has been for intractable nausea and vomiting. Okay, that's one of them. Second is for stimulation of appetites, and third we have used for a pain associated with muscular spasms.
Medical cannabis has been used in various purposes, various indications like pain, spasticity, seizures, and for anxiety also. Cannabinoids are under development, and many cannabinoids are used medically also, and it are approved by the FDA, so there is no problem that way.
Sir, can you tell us your experience with cannabis or cannabinoid drugs?
My experience is very limited as far as we never use any cannabis in any patient, though by reading the literature, and when some patients came to me with spinal injury pain and severe, I have advised them that why don't you try some grams of cannabis, but the patient actually refused.
As miserable as cancer itself is, so is its treatment, leaving the patient in an abysmal state. As a 2010 study proclaims, so do we conclude that cannabis is a boon in the treatment of CINV. But if nausea and vomiting were the only concerns of the cancer patient, alas, a misconception. This severe vomiting has taken up his appetite as well.
But this cachexia is just not cancer restricted. You can well imagine the lean, malnourished and miserable person suffering from HIV as well. Dronabinol has been approved for improvement in anorexia, increases appetite and protects against weight loss. But isn't it best to eradicate the root itself? Yes, cannabis has shown efficacy in the treatment of cancer, but the evidence is limited.
Tingling, numbness, weakness, spasms are just few of the many manifestations experienced by a patient of multiple sclerosis. Cannabis in the form of Sativex has proven to be effective as an anti-inflammatory, analgesic, as an antispasmodic drug.
Cannabis has shown to have neuroprotective effect, and by virtue of which used in PTSD and Alzheimer's, where it acts as a curative by culminating the culprit beta amyloid responsible.
Cannabis has also shown efficacy in the treatment of glaucoma. Recently marketed eye drops do not have the psychoactive side effects of oral cannabis.
Various experiments and researches have shown cannabis's efficacy in the management of neuropathic pain, post-operative pain, and surgical pain. As already stated, cannabis has shown promise in the treatment of various kinds of epilepsies and Dravet syndrome. Apart from these, there are possibly other medicinal uses conceived inside this once forbidden plant.
But my friend, a forbidden plant has formidable side effects. A study by Wang et al. Showed that 96.6% of the side effects caused were non-serious, the most common being dizziness. The absolute contraindications are a history of schizophrenia, psychosis, and bipolar disorder, as it aggravates the symptoms and provokes a relapse. Also, safety in pregnancy and lactation is not well documented. Withdrawal symptoms are generally mild and resolve without any special medications.
The sad part about the prohibition of marijuana is that it was legal and one of the major sources of income till 1985. Back then, marijuana was a way of life in India. But come 1985, the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, passed by the Rajiv Gandhi government, decided to set fire to our own tradition by criminalizing cannabis.
Since then, our marijuana policy has been nothing short of foolish, ill-conceived, costly and destructive. This act clubbed cannabis with harder drugs, urging peddlers to sell the latter. Because while the punishment for possession of commercial quantities was the same, the profits were tenfold with harder drugs.
It has created a dangerous black market with violent and bloody turf wars between drug cartels. Furthermore, we are missing out on taxes which we do not collect because marijuana is illegal in India rather than taxed and regulated.
But most importantly, our patients are being denied the vast array of medicinal benefits that cannabis offers. Ask yourselves, what do these patients really want?
All they want and all they need is better palliative care and pain management. Their only crime is wanting a medicine which is considered overtly harmful, yet which is less dangerous than beer, less allergic than peanuts, and whose societal harm comes more from its prohibition than its use.
The world has begun realizing that for all its areas of grey, cannabis is still a plant, one of its kind. Nations like Netherlands, Canada, Israel, and Uruguay, and 23 states of America have come to understand that once legalized, medical marijuana can be easily regulated, and that life is above all.
Its prohibition in India is based on myths, misconceptions, and old wives' tales that no longer stand up to scientific scrutiny. We live in a society which allows cancer-causing cigarettes and alcohol to be sold,
fast food to be advertised and celebrated,
pharmaceuticals, which are now a leading cause of death, to be prescribed.
But utilizing cannabis, one of the most powerful therapeutic plants in the world, that's strictly forbidden and illegal. It is time for India to stop putting a blanket ban on substances of questionable morality.
It is time for us to open our eyes and realize that our patients need, nay, deserve the best care that is available. They deserve a chance to smile.
It is time to legalize, regulate, educate and medicate.
It is time for India to wake up.
And waking up it is, after a 30-year-long sleep, a silver lining for those in dire need. After making its way through various countries in the West, marijuana finally found its foothold in India in the form of the great legalization movement. In a personal interview with Vicky Barora, the face of the movement, we asked him, why did he take such a risky initiative?
The ultimate truth that everyone should soon realize is that legalizing medical ganja and cannabis hemp for industrial applications will change the entire way we live and sustain.
The first conference for the same was held in Bengaluru on May 10, 2015, headed by Rick Simpson, the first man to extract cannabis oil for the treatment of cancer, in association with Vicky Varora. But despite all their efforts, the conference is to be held in Pune, Delhi, and even in Mumbai got cancelled due to the protests by various NGOs. In an email conversation with Rick Simpson, he stated,
"It is very sad that the oil is illegal in most of the countries in the world. So that means that all those patients who have been cured needed to take a risk to save their own life because of the absurd laws which are in place."
But the truth may only be eclipsed and not extinguished. A 34-year-old lawyer, Aditya Barthakur, has filed a PIL with the Bombay High Court questioning the ban on cannabis. In all of recorded history, not one person has ever died from consuming marijuana. But, funnily enough, none of the government organs that he queried had any idea about how the herb was harmful to human beings. Thus, India has finally begun taking baby steps toward realizing what is only a dream to the many distressed souls in the country today. It's reefer madness no more. It's reefer sanity, a reefer solution, and a reefer revolution.
And this is the brighter side for India, a reason to rejoice, a prospect for a new future. Let bonds of bliss strengthened by new suture. Let India have her choice. A choice to seek a better life, a choice to end their strife. But for Vikram Rajesh, it was Hobson's choice. His father met Vicky Varora and he was illegally administered cannabis oil. It worked wonders for him. His condition improved. His parents' heart was filled with gratitude. But is this what we want? Where you need to risk yourself to save someone's life? Certainly not.
Certainly not. If the words liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness doesn't include the right to unlock your own consciousness, then I'm sorry to say the Declaration of Independence isn't worth the hemp it was written on. So now that my apostles have told you all about me, like the educated people you all are, don't just sit on it, talk about it, discuss about it, and do spread awareness about it.
$1 trillion crop.
Billions of lives changed, millions of jobs created.
Thousands of applications and hundreds of diseases to cure.
Don't just turn your back on it.
Pay it a heed, give it a thought.
Weigh the pros and cons, and then
The choice is yours.